Alright, so for my mini collars, I started off with a cardboard box, this time not stolen from a homeless man. I recently moved, so I just have a ton of boxes left. So, did it the right way this time. This mini collar, I know it looks crazy, like it would not make a sufficient collar, but you'll soon see. So height-wise, it's about 6.5 inches. Length, it's about 9.5. And then you have your curve. And still, for stability, I'm going to add the framing wire that I add to all my collars. This wire I purchased from Home Depot. It's called a multi-purpose wire, and it's a 12 gauge. So I've already cut it to the shape of the collar. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue it on, and then I'm gonna take some leftover fabric that I have from previous project, and I'm going to upholster one side of the collar, and then we're going to add feathers to the other side. Okay, so I prefer to do my gluing off camera so you guys don't hear me cussing like a sailor every time I burn my fingertips. So I forgot to mention that I needed to add the string. This is what you use to tie the collar behind your back and hold it in place. I got this string, it's like a sheer string. I got it at the Dollar Tree. 6 yards for $1. Like, that's not bad. And when I was gluing the wire, I decided to hold it down with clothespins so that I can not burn my fingertips. So I just clipped it down and then proceeded to glue in between the clips. And ta-da! We have an upholstered frame with the string and the wire. I really don't need the wire, but it makes it easier for me to transport because I can add the feathers and then bend it in half, and then once I'm in country, open it back up and it'll sit in place. But if you wanted to skip that part, you could, but I just prefer the wire to give it a little more stability as well. Okay, next I glued maybe about 20 purple rooster tail feathers and about 20 pheasant feathers onto the collar. Now they do sell these in trim, and that is so much easier to work with. And when I say trim, I mean like this, with the trim that you just glue it on. And that is so much easier to work with than gluing each one individually. But that comes at a cost, and if you're on a budget or just have a lot of time on your hands, then gluing them by hand really isn't a problem. So this is what it looks like from the back. Now we're going to keep on moving. So I added now the purple feather trim. It took about 15 inches of trim. I'm going to go in and add another layer to give it a fuller look. Okay, so we have added 2 layers of feather trim, and I just wanted to say my personal preference when gluing down the trim is to glue the feathers pointing up. To elaborate on that, when you're holding the feathers straight, they kind of point in a specific direction. Right now they're pointing up, but if I glued them the other way, they're pointing down, and it kind of, in my opinion, gives it a fuller look if they're pointing towards your neck, towards you, towards up. So I have 2 layers of feathers. Now I'm going to go in with some gold bling on a string, or bling on a roll, that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's 9 feet, it's a good amount. So I'm going to glue this around the base of the collar. Now it's a straight trim, which normally would be hard to get it to curve. But what you do is you go in and you cut in between the lines of the bling, and that allows you to glue it at a curve. So let's go ahead and glue that down, and then I think we're pretty much have the finished product. It took me about 35 minutes to make. Angelique, would you mind doing a twirl for us so we can see the back of the collar? Kind of has this evil villain look to it. Alright, thank you, ma'am. You can turn around. And like I said, it will fold in half, so it will fit in a checked bag. And I think the total cost of materials was about $15.